including us here at the Fox 10 Storm Tracker Center, as we have multiple tropical waves we're watching. Also want to pass along, you may have seen the information if you've been watching news this evening here across the bottom of your screen on Fox 10. We've seen a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Baldwin County, Monroe County, and also Clark County. These are typically what we call pulse severe storms. They don't stay severe for long. This one has achieved what the National Weather Service considers to be severe limits. We saw this yesterday evening as well without any reports of damage, but up here around the Mineola area and around Little River, the rural sections of far northern Baldwin County are included in this severe thunderstorm warning, and they'll stay in effect for a little while longer. Let's check in on the latest here as we skip over to our weather computer system, and I'll zoom in on this storm. And so if you know anybody who's up 59 here in Baldwin County or around County Road 1 above Rabun, this is where we have the warning. And at this point, the warning is going to remain in effect for a little while longer. This is going to be until 7 o'clock. So actually a long issuance time with this one. It was issued at 6:09, and it's supposed to remain in effect if it's not dropped sooner until 7 o'clock. Gusty winds and also potentially some nickel-size hail. We did have a couple of volume scans that had some pretty high levels of reflectivity, so some hail is possible on 59 and also there as you get a little further to the north up near Chrysler and almost to Uriah. This system is pretty much stationary here. So just wanted to get you the update on the severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for Baldwin County. Mobile County is pretty quiet right now. Northern Monroe County is seeing a very strong storm there too. It actually looks worse than the one that we currently have the warning out for up above Beatrice, right up close to the Wilcox County line. A pretty impressive storm there too. All this activity is drifting a little to the east, but there's just not a lot of motion to the storms. They're pretty much firing in place. All right, let's talk about the tropics here, and we're in the most active part of the tropical season really for about the next 60 days from now until about the 20th or so of October. That's going to be the time that we typically see, according to the calendar, the most tropical activity. We've already seen a record-breaking number of storms in the preseason, so we've had a very, very active start to our tropical season, and here we are getting into the active part of the season, knowing that we may end up using the entire list of names and potentially going into the Greek alphabet if the predictions are correct. And you know, from what we're seeing, active summer monsoon season off of Africa, a lot of waves forming up, water temperatures above average, favorable upper level winds. All the ingredients are in place for an above average tropical season. I'm going to pop up the satellite picture here on our weather computer system on this Facebook and YouTube broadcast and show you what's going on in the tropical Atlantic and the Caribbean Sea. We have 3 circles on the map, and this is the new one here off of Africa, but it's going to be a while before it gets going. It's just now emerging off of Africa right now. Then we have this wave in the central Atlantic, which has a very high chance of developing. It's still a little broad right now, but it's gradually getting better organized. And then the wave in the Caribbean is more defined today, but still has a ways to go before it gets organized. We'll take a look at both of these two features. First of all, the wave in the Caribbean has a 60% chance of developing in the next 2 days and then an 80% chance in the next 5 days as it heads towards the northwest Caribbean Sea. So that's the odds of development on that one. This feature here is in the central Atlantic, and it still doesn't have a name or a number, so it's not a tropical depression or storm. 90% chance of development with this system there into the Atlantic. And I'll take it up full here so you can get a better look at both of those two systems. Let's track what's going on as we see our possibility of potentially getting some development here on Fox 10 News as we continue to keep an eye on this system here, both systems, and our futurecast modeling. This is the first thing I want to show you, and then we'll look at some of the individual model runs here. And I'll put it back up on our camera system here. We've got 2, and so this is Friday morning at 9 in the morning. And this is the wave that has been in the Atlantic. There is a strong ridge here It's really what we call the Bermuda Ridge, but it's going to be centered up a little east of Bermuda. And the isobars are pretty tightly packed. That means this thing's going to be moving fast, this wave. This is closer to us, but it's slowing down because it's getting out on the edge of the ridge into a more less defined type steering environment in the Northwest Caribbean Sea. So the Caribbean wave slows down and the Atlantic wave keeps its forward speed. So this is getting to be interesting here. And the two waves are getting a little close to each other. We've got Sunday morning at 9 o'clock on this run of the European model. And I'm showing the European because the European's been really one of our best. The European and the GFS are really our best long-term models for tropical predictions that we have, and the European's been outperforming a little better the last couple of seasons. And so by Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, we've got a wave feature here, and it depends on how close it's going to be to Cuba or the Dominican Republic and Haiti as to how strong it's going to be. If it takes more of a southerly course, it's going to be moving over a lot of higher terrain. If it takes more of a northerly course, it could get up over the Bahamas, and it could be stronger. And this model's just saying, hey, we should have generally something here, a wave, or it could be a lot stronger than that. It could be a tropical storm. And then also coming off the Yucatan and getting into the Gulf, potentially this feature here. It's going to be real close to the Yucatan. It'll be interacting with the Yucatan, but it could be in the Bay of Campeche by Sunday morning. So that's a look at that feature there. And then taking on a little further out in time, this is as of Tuesday at lunchtime, and there is the feature off the Yucatan, and the European says it's going into Texas. And then it's also taking this feature here that's over the Greater Antilles, that's been coming across from the Atlantic, and bringing it up into the eastern Gulf. Now, what happens if we have two tropical storms in the Gulf at the same time? If they're about the same strength, they may try and pirouette around each other a little bit, and so that could influence the track. The odds of them coalescing into one storm, that doesn't appear to be the case right now, but we've seen that happen before. If you have a real weak system, it tends to fall apart and gets absorbed by the other, the more dominant system. So that's a possibility, but that's so far out in time. I mean, we're talking really a week away on the models, but we are seeing that both systems could be bringing unsettled weather to the eastern and western Gulf respectively. And these positions can change, and things will change. So let's look at some of the individual models on both systems, and I'll start out with the Atlantic one. These are the individual lines, what we call the spaghetti plots, and bringing that up full here. Okay, this is that Atlantic system, and you can see it moving along at a very rapid clip, so it's moving quickly down through here, and potentially, if it takes the more southerly course, it's going to be over Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and eastern Cuba is very mountainous, more so than western Cuba. And those are some of the models that say, hey, it may end up coming up into the eastern Gulf. Other models are trying to turn it into South Florida, which would have less of an impact on us. So a faster forward speed and then more uncertainty up and through here. That's the wave in the Atlantic. All right, let's check out the wave in the southern Gulf. This is the one that's currently in the Caribbean. And look at that spread in the model guidance. A lot of differences here with this particular system. You can see the spread, the difference as to what's going on there in the Caribbean Sea, and also possibly even over the Yucatan. Other models even bring it up through and in the Yucatan Passage here and bring it all the way up into the Gulf of Mexico directly. And then the possibility of a system coming ashore anywhere from Mexico all the way back around to the Florida Panhandle. I mean, it's a ways out, but the one thing that does ring true with this particular setup is that there is a weak steering environment here, and so the models are kind of all over the place, and we still don't even know if we have an organized system, but this will become a clearer picture for us obviously through time. But right now there is the possibility that both systems could end up in the Gulf of Mexico next week. One or the other. Maybe one's just a wave, the other one's just a storm. They could both be storms. They could be stronger. This is a very active, potentially year, so we've got a long hurricane season ahead of us. But looks like next week gets unsettled. And so if you have beach plans for the week leading up to Labor Day weekend, for example, or you're just trying to plan out your week next week, it's still too far out to say, okay, I got to change my plans. I mean, we're looking at what is really just honestly two waves out there. They could become tropical depressions or tropical storms, but they could go in different directions, and neither could be in the Gulf of Mexico next week. But I am seeing, just based on the model trends, that the odds are that something's going to be going on in the Gulf early next week, and it could be more than we bargained for if we have two systems. It could be very, very wet, very unsettled, very rainy. Hopefully that's it if we do see something and not more of an organized tropical storm or hurricane. But in the forecast, definitely anything's possible. Water temperatures are warm. What about names? Well, if we get a named system, what are we looking at here? Let's pull up our list of hurricane names. We've had a record-breaking season, earliest ever 10th named system in Kyle. Then we look at the next two, and the assumption is that the wave in the Caribbean and the wave in the central Atlantic both will form first, and that they would get the names Laura and Marco, depending on which one forms up first. So Laura and Marco are most likely going to be the systems that may be working towards the Gulf, but that's still to be determined. And it's possible next week we've got a Laura, a Marco, and an Anna out there. We've seen that a bunch of times as we get into the most active part of the tropical season, where we've had multiple systems lined up out in the Atlantic. This is nothing new, but this year, more activity than usual, so we may have some issues there. So looking at it, you can see 1, 2, 3, one system off of Africa, another one in the central Atlantic, another one in the Caribbean. Nothing organized yet, but that is likely to change. This is an excellent time of year to make plans to try and check in with us here on Fox 10. I'll be in tonight at 9 and 10 p.m. And we'll see if we have anything new from the National Hurricane Center, especially on this one here. We should be getting an update shortly from the National Hurricane Center on the percentages and chances of development. In fact, I may just go ahead and check on that now, see if it's down a little early. The tropical weather outlook typically comes down about 7 o'clock, so we may be a little out from that right now. Let's see. Okay, we've got 2 red X's. Looks like we have a new tropical weather outlook, so just to give you the odds, okay, looks like we're at a 70% chance, so I'm going to be updating this for you on Fox 10 News, of this one here that I'm moving the little feature on. This is a 70% wave in the next 48 hours. So a high chance it develops, and an 80% chance in the next couple of days through the days 3, 4, and 5. This one's still 90% both in 48 hours and 5 days. So that one's likely going to happen. The talk is that both are becoming better organized, and a tropical depression likely to form. This one they're saying is likely to form when it reaches the Northwest Caribbean Sea, and this one likely to form out over the Atlantic. And then the odds on this one, 10% in 2 days, but 40% chance of development in days 3, 4, and 5. So medium chance it gets going. So that's an update there here live on Facebook and YouTube, that the odds are a little higher on this one. This one's still real high. Odds up a little bit, but still a medium chance long term on the one off of Africa. I'll have more information on Fox 10 News as we're approaching the 10 o'clock hour, and then getting into your forecast again tomorrow morning. You can check in with meteorologist Michael White. I'll be back in tomorrow evening, and we're going to keep the ball rolling through the end of the week and into the weekend with meteorologist Matt Barentine, watching for any possible trouble brewing out in the Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, and ultimately the Gulf of Mexico. This is a time of the year where it's really important that you check in, get the latest information. You can't always depend on social media because you see these posts on social media where somebody's carried a post where they copied a model run and it could be days old. It could be misinformation. So we want to try and be the voice of reason and provide some clarity for you, and so that you can prepare for any tropical systems that could be potentially coming our way with the latest information. We'll have that. We'll be checking in here on Facebook Live, and also we'll have updates on Fox 10 News in our newscast in the morning and in the evenings, both through the end of the week and into the weekend. As we get closer to next week, we're likely to have some things to deal with. So looks like it's that time of year again, the active part of hurricane season. 10 storms in the preseason. Now we're getting into the main event, and we'll have updates here on Fox 10.